Just so you know, I have a Twitch, and the link will be in the description. Now let's get to the video. Hey guys, Fallen here, and today we'll be talking about one of my most favorite builds of all time, and that is the Ophidius Faith build that I've been using a lot of the time now. Now in the background footage, I will note that this is the first time I've ever done the Enigma protocol. I just started doing the story because I didn't really like it from what I saw from the first week, and I was having an off day today. But anyways, this is one of my most favorite builds, and the footage, by the way, this is from the day of Act 2 coming out, and I haven't put any of the new seasonal mods. I haven't tried any of the nerfs, new features. I haven't seen any of that, but anyways, this whole build is basically just causing ignitions and infinite scorch, to where you can have your melee back almost constantly, no matter what you do. And the ignitions that are created from your knives, if they get kills, they regenerate your abilities back instantly, and it's really fun. Now, just before we get into the video, I have a dim link in the description if you want to go check that out. It'll have every single thing you need to know about it. I'll put in a gameplay technique if you just want to see that, what I did, and what made that really fun for me. But anyways, let's get into the main part of the video, which is the subclass. The subclass will be going with Solar Gunslinger, and we'll be using the Blade Barrage Super. We could use Golden Gun if you want to, but I don't recommend using it in this scenario. This is just a really easy one hit and done, and we don't really have any. It's good just in general, but anyways, we'll be using the Gambler's Dodge to get back our melee back. When we dodge with this, you have the ability to get 2 of our knife charges back from Ophidius Faith instead of 1, which is really useful for this. We'll be using the knife trick because the knife trick does scorch on each single knife that gets hit. If all 3 knives land, they do 90 scorch. And if you want to cause an ignition, you need to have 100 scorch on someone. Then we'll be using the healing grenade. This is just an easy way to get restoration at all times. We'll be getting this constantly due to our constant gameplay technique of just throwing our fan knives at people all the time. For aspects, we'll be using knock 'em down because when we're radiant and we throw our knives at someone and we kill someone with it, we will fully refund it, and we can spam it multiple times. And then we'll be using On Your Mark. You can also use Gunpowder Gamble if you want more ignitions, but I recommend I recommend On Your Mark for the more just for the more reload if you're gonna go far distance in certain activities. And plus, Gunpowder Gamble can kill you pretty easily sometimes, but that's my opinion. First thing we'll be having is Ember of Torches, which makes our melees constantly give us Radiant. If we don't have this on, there's no way for us to get Radiant properly, and we can't get melee charges back. Next thing we'll have is Ember of Ashes, which will increase the more Scorch stacks to targets. If we throw one of our fans now, be able to do way more, and we'll be able to do a 90 Scorch instantly with this on. And you do have to throw your second knife to cause the ignition, but it just gives us more free time to mess around with what we're doing. So if you miss, like, let's say if I throw 3 of my knives and I miss one of them, but I throw the rest of the 2, I'll guarantee get it. This is just like an easy way to slip around. Now for this one, you don't have to have Ember of Char on, but I like Ember of Char because you can spread scorched targets, and then if you hit those scorched targets, you can cause ignitions really easily. But if you want to, you can use Ember of Benevolence because you'll be constantly causing Radiant. But this is more of a multiplayer thing, and I don't completely recommend it if you don't want to use. If you're doing solo stuff, then I wouldn't use Ember of Benevolence. I would use Ember of Char. Now we'll be using Ember of Empyrean, where if we use our abilities or weapons like a solar weapon such as Red Death, Callous Mini Tool, any of those kind of weapons, those will extend Radiant and Restoration, which are the 2 main things that we'll be carrying around in this build. And this also includes our knife trick, which we'll be using constantly all the time. Then we'll have the Ember of Singeing, which lets our class ability recharge faster when we scorch people. There'll be some moments where you have inconsistencies and you won't land all your knives instantly, and sometimes you won't get kills or anything, or you just only can scorch them. This is where Knife Trick comes in hand, because you can just go and use Gambler's Dodge to go get back both your knives instantly. And since you're causing so much scorch all the time, this is just going to synergize completely insanely well with your Knife Trick to get back your charges really quickly. I went with a hands-on just because we'll be constantly throwing knives with our Ophidius Faith the entire time. We'll be using a Solar Siphon as our main weapon. If you want to use a kinetic weapon or anything else, you can, but I'm just using a Solar Siphon mod because I'm using Red Death with this build, which basically makes you practically invincible as long as you can just stay around and play safe. depending on what you're doing, of course. Then we have heavy-handed, which basically makes us that our knives will give us orbs of power, but this has a cooldown on it for 8 seconds, I believe. 8 to 5 seconds. Then we'll have 2 impact induction mods, so then we can always get back our healing grenade in case we run out of restoration. Then we'll have a sniper damage resist, so that if we're going with using our knives, snipers won't affect us that much. And then we'll be using a melee damage, so that since we're in those super close quarters, we can take a lot less damage before we die or before a lot more hits, so we can survive much longer. Then we'll be using a recuperation mod, so you can heal from each orb you pick up, and we'll be using a absolution mod, which will combine the two together, which will make it so that I heal and reduce the cooldown of all my abilities at the same time. Then I went with special finisher because depending on what special you're using, I'm using a blinding gel for this because when you use a blinding gel, the enemies can't really move at all. So it gives you more of a still scenario to where you can hit them really easily and cause your ignition really fast. Then we'll use a powerful attraction so that anytime I dodge, all the orbs that are near me will be collected up. So then I'll be healed and I'll have all my abilities cooled down. And then we'll have a Reaper mod on too, so that I can also get more orbs as well. Alright, getting into the next section of the video, I'll be talking about what this exotic that we'll be using does and what the weapon recommendations I'll be showing off. Now, the weapon that the exotic we'll be using is the Ophidia Spathe, and this grants us a bonus melee charge. Now, in Season of the Wish, this got a buff to where now it has the perk Scissor Fingers, where now if you kill someone with your melee, you increase your outgoing melee knives damage, and this can be reset by getting a kill and also by using your Gambler's Dodge. This only works with Gambler's Dodge, just so you know, as the exotic description shows that. But it's still a really powerful exotic. I wouldn't even recommend using Marksman's Dodge. It wouldn't be worth because you can't get back your melee. But now, one of the weapons I'd recommend for you for this build is Red Death, of course, because not only the catalyst came out today in Act 2. By the way, the recording just happened. It was Act 2. I don't know if I'll post it the same day. I may or may not. But it's really good because the catalyst comes out to create healing bursts, and this will be really powerful with certain exotics like Ember of Benevolence, which grants all-rounder ability regen after granting a buff to your friends. But if you don't have any friends like me, then you'll just have to mess around with the just how it works normally, and the restoration is still really nice. This will be really effective, and I do recommend if you do get the catalyst, just keep using it because it'll create this little healing burst. You can stand in that constantly for the regen, and you'll be extending the duration of it because of how strong it is. Now, another weapon I can recommend to you is Sunshot. Even with the nerf, Sunshot is still really good. The explosions are a lot less powerful, but they're still really good. I mean, on screen right here, I have 7,001 kills on my Sunshot, which is really, that's a little bit. And I have another one that has 6,000 on it too, and I was pretty happy I got both of them there. It's a shame that I didn't combine them both. Another weapon I can recommend you in the secondary slot for Solar is I can recommend you the brand new healing auto rifle and the solar one, the new solar healing auto rifle, and that one is actually really good, and I highly recommend using it because the roll on screen here is Substance Incandescent, which is just basically just lasting forever, and it's still really good. I can also recommend using Callus Mini Tool. It's still a really good exotic, and or not exotic, it's still a really good SMG for the solar. And you can have Unrelenting on it too, which gives you more healing than normal. Now, I did want to talk about primaries too, and one of the primaries I'm using in the background footage right now is the Ignition Code. I got really lucky trying to just messing around with Xur, and I got a God Roll Ignition Code, Slide Shot Blinding Grenades. And blinding grenades are really effective because it makes the target stay still, and if you want to get that ignition off really easily, you can just shoot your blind grenade and then they can't see anything, and then you can go kill them off with your ignitions. Another one I can recommend, this is a 1-2 punch shotty, and because 1-2 punch shotties are actually really good with this build, especially when you get to max stacks of scissor fingers, because you'll be doing around 23k per knife, and it's actually really good. But if you don't want to use a shotgun, I understand it. Shotguns are kind of jank and shit. But another weapon I can recommend is a Chill Clip Fusion. Even with Riptide's nerf, it's still pretty good, still requiring a 3 burst, like normal. That's kind of sucks that they got rid of the 2 burst like it was back in the day. But if you have a stronger one, like Art of Artie, I think that's what it's called, and it's a heavier version, it has a longer charge time. This only requires 2 bursts and does a lot more damage. But if you freeze someone and then hit with the melee, when someone is frozen and you deal melee damage to them, your melee damage is amplified significantly more. So it's really good if you were to use it here. Now, for heavy weapons, I don't really typically recommend anything. I'm using an eager edge sword because that's just an easy way to move around. It's a good way for mobility and such. And not really anything you can change about that. But this is still a really good build. I'll show you some background footage of how effective this is at just destroying ads, and I'll show it right here. Alright, getting into this gameplay here, I'm showing off how easy it is to pull off using such easy ability spam. I'm just clearing off all these ads and showing how I'm getting orbs really quickly and easily causing ignitions. You can see the liberty of missing some knives and still causing the ignition still. And this is really powerful, honestly. I highly recommend it. The more ignitions that you can cause, the better, because they cause critical hit damage, and these ignitions stun unstops too, which makes it really nice. And since you'll be getting the rating, you'll also be dealing with barrier champions too. The only thing you need now is an overload, which I do have on a sword, but it's not the best idea you could have. But you can see in the background footage that this is very effective at clearing ads and minimalizing taking damage. It's really effective and really powerful, but this also helps because of the explosions too. Alright, well, that's the whole basis of the build. There's not really anything I can say about gameplay wise. You really kind of just saw the full potential of what you can really do there. The only thing I would recommend just do is that if there's way too many explodey ads, then I wouldn't go for it, because you're just going to get killed really easily if you do. But it's still really good. I highly recommend using this build. I wouldn't recommend it in a GM because you're not going to get a lot of ignitions off. You probably could, but I don't think you could cause as much as I'm thinking in my head. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to check out my Twitch. Well, the link will be in the description. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the link to work. I don't know why it's taking me so long. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. The dim link will also be in the description for this too, so I'll see you all later.